left-hand side of the map, it is for mouse sports for something like 12 years. HeroMarine.
In the bottom right, our blue Terran player from Team Liquid, it's Clem.
Alrighty. TVT is cool. There's going to be most likely double gas openings. Anything other than that will be a surprise. And more often than not, players will kind of like go for gas openings to get the factory out and the tech out, but then kind of just release the SCVs from the gases, right? Just to talk about something different here in the early game. I think the TVT openers are kind of interesting, and you know, maybe there's something to be learned for novice Terran players in the chats.
Yeah, absolutely. TVT openers are very complex as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just thinking about best of fives between these two. And I was like, man, I always feel like these two play very close best of fives. And I just thought I'd look it up, and you know, they do. Like every time they play, it's very rarely a 3-0 on a best of five. It's always 3-1 at worst, but then like 2-3, 3-2. And you know for a fact that so many of these games come down to the wire as well. Just getting excited about what we're about to see here, cats. Just hyped to see what's gonna come out of HeroMarine and Clem today, because yeah, they can play some awesome TVT, crazy, chaotic all over the map. And I think one of the coolest things for me is that Clem really improved his TVT, because it was the matchup he was very vulnerable in the past. And nowadays, he's a little bit, he's just a little bit more well-rounded in it. He really felt like he put a lot of time into just, you know, taking away that weakness that people kind of used to keep on pointing out, basically, as the one weakness of Clem was his TVT. And that's not really the case anymore.
Yeah, and maybe that has to do with the weakness, if Clem had any in the past, I think is over-eagerness, perhaps. And in TVT, it's such a positional matchup, right? You have to learn to be patient. And I think that is one of the things that Clem has done wonderfully. And yet still, I think that, for example, in the matchup against Cyril, earlier in the tournament, Cyril was still willing to go into roaches more so than against other opponents, against Clem, because, you know, Clem does tend to still get a little bit over-eager at some points. But yeah, I mean, there is a place for that as well in TVT, right? In this early game, for example, like these Reapers and Hellions can get pretty aggressive. They can get pretty pokey and look for damage. But later on, you have to just sit back a lot of the time and just look for a little bit more of a defensive setup, right? Rely on those tanks to just kind of anchor for you and be okay not doing as much as you want to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Is 2 Reapers at once, by the way. Clem gonna have 3 Reapers out with a Hellion, but looks like we'll just stop there before it gets to any sort of crazy numbers. But could be looking for a move across the map in the next few moments, right? Get some pressure going. At the moment, just hanging back though, getting into a siege tank, and we'll wait and see where we go from here. There's a medevac. We do know that Clem loves to build a medevac and to get a little bit aggressive in the early stages.
Yeah, he's gonna be poking and probing, and he's so good at it, right? It's so difficult to fold them. It's like, yeah, if I had 5 hands like you do, then I would probably also try to do something along those lines. HeroMarine on the other end is going to be, again, the shield in this matchup, right? Already with a Widowmine placed at the front, expecting that Clem might get aggressive, which he is not, as he's getting that tank that you mentioned. Going for a Cyclone, a further defensive tool, and then a Raven that HeroMarine likes to use for his own aggression, right? Just try to use 1 or 2 auto turrets on the other side of the map to prevent a little bit of mining, to kill an SCV or 2, and then transition it later into the game where it's going to be super useful at disabling those tanks.
I like the setup here for HeroMarine.
Oh, this is a nasty spot.
There's a nasty spot. I kind of like that he was protecting the main and had just the Widowmine in the front. Nice from Clem. Okay, who cares about your Widowmine, huh? Yep, just micro away from that. That's really cute. Just takes away that defensive setup, and now you get a couple of SCVs. You stop mining for a while. It's actually a pretty serious base now to be locking down. So, yeah, I mean, credit to Clem just doing the little things right so far, and this is why he's so good at probing and finding damage like this. Auto turret goes down. It's not going to last very long, though. Not sure how much I like this. The Cyclone dies so quickly. Yeah, the tank's not going to last long enough, I guess. Cyclone of Clem showing up to try and help out where possible. And this game is going to be closing out on the early game aggression now.
Yeah, but I like it for Clem still, right? Like, gets rid of the Widowmine, gets rid of all the Raven energy as well. Kills a couple of SCVs, delays the mining for a little bit, and he did lose a tank. Wow, 2 Marines actually going to go in and kill another 2 SCVs.
Yeah.
Clem just, kind of playing out of his mind here. He has definitely gotten a few small edges here from this early game.
Yeah, what a fun opening from Clem. I love it. And I know we see stuff like this from Clem all of the time, but This is one of the times where it really feels like it works. Everything clicks. He really made the most of the position and the opportunity given to him, which wasn't much of an opportunity. As HeroMarine will have a counterattack, though, and looking for some worker kills of his own to try and get him back into this. Clem has an auto turret across the map, though, and now he's going to intercept these units with his own little drop-off. He'll kill a couple, only loses 2, and he makes up for it instantly with the Raven play, so he's going to maintain a worker lead.
Yeah, however, the Raven lead is in favor of HeroMarine, who is looking to move out here, and he is so very good at this. We see it a lot in his TVP, but also in TVT, recognizing the advantages that he has. He has managed to get 2 Ravens and quickly switch the starport onto a reactor in order to get 2 Vikings also. So he also has a little bit of air control here, though Clem is making his own Vikings as we speak. So yeah, let's see if HeroMarine can find any damage in return here. Very even, very active game in this early game.
Yeah, HeroMarine's push definitely scary. 2 Ravens each, and well, let's see what he can do with a little bit more energy on it, as we do have the 2 Vikings definitely making a difference as well. Clem eating a pretty big tank on his Marines initially. Now his tank maybe in some trouble. His 3rd tank showing up. He does get a Matrix off, but that other tank is still in range. He is not going to get a tank of his own, and now he's going to show up with his own Vikings. A very messy fight, as Clem is just about going to win out in the skies. An auto turret's going to say no to that, but maybe he could repair the Viking with the SCVs. Clem's losing a depot as well. HeroMarine did okay, but I feel like he lost just about as much as he killed.
Yeah, he still has a lot of energy on one of the Ravens, however, and I mean, does he have 2 more Vikings coming up? I think he does. However, this tank on the high ground is doing wonders, but HeroMarine recognizes that that's a very important piece to take down, and he does with the Ravens. Now it's Viking versus Viking. Clem has to be pretty careful. That he seems to be winning the fight ever so barely. The Marines are trying to get involved, and with that, he will finally dislodge HeroMarine and retain his lead. Really well done by Clem there, who has a faster 3rd CC, as we see our wonderful observer Niall pointing out. And HeroMarine a little bit behind on that regard, so was definitely hoping to do a little bit more with that push. But yeah, Clem did wonderfully.
Yeah, that was a that was kind of crazy altogether. I love the Viking control from Clem in the end. He had 1 that shot down the Raven, and the other 2 spread shots on the Vikings to make the overall matchup make sense. Love that, though. Insta-snipe on a siege tank, and HeroMarine just benefiting from still owning the map control here. Cancels an engineering bay, and suddenly Clem has to fight his way out of trouble for a second time when he thought he was in the clear.
I thought he was in the clear, right? It looked like HeroMarine had been pushed back. It looked like he was backing away, but instead he just reroute. Now Clem wants to take the engagement. He's going to siege his 2 tanks, but HeroMarine has 2 tanks of his own, and the first shelling of Clem doesn't go directly in the tanks. The second one does. However, does he have enough time to clear? And it looks like with the Vikings landed, the answer is going to be yes. And Clem will once again retain an advantage. That looked very scary there for a second, though.
Yeah, these fights are so intense, right? I mean, the Vikings land, it feels like they really do push it over the edge, but if the Vikings hadn't landed in time, I'm going to be sat with almost nothing to work with. So really back and forth. I mean, HeroMarine just great to get back into that position. Definitely felt like Clem should have been in more trouble than he ended up being in, which just says credit to Clem, right? You know, he found his way out of that when it felt almost impossible.
It felt so difficult. Even the timings were so narrow, right? Those tanks are disabled just for an extra second or 2, and then all of a sudden, I mean, if they fire first, your tanks are dead, and his are not. So it's a huge deal here, HeroMarine. They're with 4 tanks, and he still had some Raven energy as well. But yeah, I mean, if we remember earlier, the Raven energy being used on the high ground to kill that tank, that would have been huge too. Because if HeroMarine could have disabled the tanks of Clem, I think he maybe just wins the game there.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Because Clem only has 2 tanks and 2 disables, and then Clem has basically no firepower in the army. Like, he stimmed forward some Marines, but they disappeared so quickly as well. Didn't make much of a difference, as HeroMarine is actually going to hit a faster 1-1 than Clem. Clem has combat shields versus a slightly slower combat shields. Don't think that's really going to come into play. I was just looking at that 1-1 and wondering if we'll see a fight with that making a difference. Don't really think so. Don't think Clem's in any rush to move out.
Yeah, very narrow timing. Also note HeroMarine dropped the CC, his 4th CC, way in the back, so he's going to have to float that over from pretty far away as well, whereas Clem just dropped it right at the front. So maybe a little bit of an issue of sim seating there from HeroMarine. It just didn't look like he had a lot of space in his main to drop the command center forward, and that is something that is, you know, a tiny detail that's going to add up to a Clem that already has kind of like the better economical setup. So HeroMarine going to be considerably slower to his 4th as well.
Oh, Marine stimming over the right side, gonna get a Marine in return, and the medevac's coming back over to the left. So I like that Clem's now be the one to try and be active. Obviously, HeroMarine fighting for some map control, but Clem absolutely trying to make it as difficult as possible and making sure that HeroMarine's map control is worth taking, as that drop could be deadly. HeroMarine with a similar idea, supply depot will see the medevacs on the way in, and Clem pulls back to deal with that as HeroMarine dodges through the center. Not a bad plan at all. And Clem has to try and set up a defense, which so far he's doing. He's going to be dropping into HeroMarine's natural as well, so this is just going to get a little crazy altogether.
Yeah, this is getting crazy indeed. Now this drop is gonna get cleared up, but HeroMarine has to respond to his natural. He's pulling his whole army backward, and that makes it so that Clem will just take a huge lead off of this. Because, I mean, this attack had potential, right? Especially if he hits in conjunction with knowing that his medevacs are getting taken care of as far as possible from Clem's fourth base, in the very back of his base. But not able to exploit that timing. Instead, he pulls back to deal with the damage that was being inflicted onto him. But that just means it's free damage up until he gets there, and he doesn't even get to punish it. So Clem with a very large lead in this game, I would say now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Clem's got to be feeling very, very good about this. It was already kind of nice off the opening. That extends it, especially getting the +2 attack upgrades. Just such a pain for HeroMarine. Marine fights can be influential, very influential in this matchup, and upgrades are very important in Marine on Marine. So, yeah, big things for Clem. It feels like Clem is looking real good. The only thing I can really say is that obviously kind of just needs to fly the 5th over. That's something HeroMarine's already done. So, HeroMarine a bit better off there, but Clem has so much supply. If he just goes across the map and uses it, HeroMarine might just be in trouble.
Yeah, and Clem is so good as well at splitting his army. He still has those drops to the left as well. Maybe a 3-pronged attack would be a good way to kind of probe everywhere and check where HeroMarine is going to be weak. If you run into the condensed defenses of HeroMarine, HeroMarine can still very much just hold and stabilize off of a stronghold. But Clem is going to be scouting everywhere with Marines, now breaking those rocks, I imagine, in the middle, as he is going to continue to try to move forward. He will scan, see only 2 tanks. I think this is go time for Clem, and he is hitting on 2 prongs here. The tanks will get taken down very swiftly and quickly, and this planetary fortress stands no chance against these many tanks, and things are looking fantastic for the Frenchman.
They really, really are. These tanks are getting to a better spot. Obviously, they're cutting off anything that could reinforce down the ramp, and that's obviously going to make life difficult for HeroMarine. You just can't protect that base like you said. The Viking War is going to be very even up in the skies, but I think Clem's fine with that as well. Even is good in his eyes, so yeah, he's going to take an even fight and be very okay with it because he's just ahead. Otherwise, he's going to maintain his lead. He's now got tanks in range. He scans as well, so he's going to get the extra shots off, and he is going to clean up a couple tanks. The friendly fire might be a big deal as we actually see quite a few tanks going down. We force a big on siege. Good play from HeroMarine. I mean, something that will bring him back into it ever so slightly in a closer game might have been a turnaround point.
Yeah, absolutely. In a closer game, that would have been such a valuable move, and you see that HeroMarine really invested a lot of actions into that too. It's not, the classic is you just click on your medevac, click D, drop your units, and start moving the medevac, and they'll drop it along the way. Here, HeroMarine was clicking 1 Marine at a time to make sure that they landed in the perfect positions and, that they didn't overlap. So he did as much damage as possible with those little self-inflicted wounds that Clem was doing to his own army via the splash. So really, really cool and really well executed from HeroMarine. But is it going to be enough to bring him back? It doesn't look like it so far.
No, not really looking good, is it at all? As Marine does get a kill over on the left-hand side, so picking up over there. Marine, Viking, Medevac, Raven, all pushing forward. HeroMarine getting set up. A few SCVs go around the left-hand side as well. And, well, Clem just has an extra base over HeroMarine right now, and we'll see if we do find a way back in. Of course, still difficult to close games out in TVT, even when one has the lead. And Clem just going to keep on building Ravens, keep on building that air control, max out, and then continue to look for openings.
You'd love to see it. And Clem is now ahead in upgrades as well. So this is looking really, really tough for HeroMarine. And we know Clem. I mean, he's not going to slow down. He is now getting ready for another move out. We'll see if he just chooses to condense his army and push on forward with a very strong attack. At this point, that doesn't seem like a terrible idea. I'd still like to see somewhat more of a multi-prong here just to test the defenses that have to be spread out for HeroMarine. Scans going down everywhere as there is no contesting for the middle of the map. Positioning will be granted for Clem to move across.
Gets one of the Ravens as well, which just takes away some of the utility that HeroMarine might have been able to use in his favor. He's already going to be outnumbered in terms of the utility, but at least he's had some, right? And now you just lose a little bit more of it, and just again another reason why Clem is going to be feeling good in this game as more and more Vikings are reinforcing. And yeah, I mean, HeroMarine's trying to build a couple of libs, which is obviously a cute idea if you have air control, but he's only ahead by what, like 2-3 Vikings? And then he has one Raven to 6, so I'm not really sure the Liberators are quite it. As yeah, just Clem finds a way in, just with a few Marines, cause some chaos, and HeroMarine doesn't really want to be pulling back, and these Marines are going to go straight up and find +3 attack, aren't they? Yes, they are.
Oh, huge. I'm a little bit surprised that Clem actually went all the way back for those rocks just to find better angling while this was going on, because he loses the opportunity to pounce when HeroMarine just goes to defend. But HeroMarine did a very good job of splitting his army. Here come those disabling matrices here onto the tanks at the front. The Liberators are trying to do what they can. The Vikings are very important. A huge Dorito cannon onto the Vikings of Clem will grant HeroMarine that airfight that he has been looking for. And that makes the Liberators very strong. However, with this many Ravens, they can still be disabled, and there's only one. Clem knows that that's the piece that he needs to remove, so Focus fires it down. And the tanks, I think, have room to move on forward here and continue to siege this planetary fortress, already 2 in range. And if this falls, I mean, it's going to be HeroMarine on 4 base, effectively really just kind of like 1.5 or 2 bases, given that a lot of them have been mined. And if we look at the map, it is very blue.
Yes, the map is very blue. It is blue all over as Clem is just overtaken it. Every single section seems to be his own. HeroMarine is losing ground. He's losing bases. Really not looking pretty. It's going to be seen even the CC trying to move to the top right, blocked for a few moments by the Marine that's there. So even the little things are not quite going HeroMarine's way. As credit to him, he will continue to just try his best to get set back up, right? Take a base if he can, see if there's an opportunity to get back into it. But he is very much so fighting a losing uphill battle that Clem is not letting him back into.
Not at all, right? And a lot of the time we look at the supply and we're like, okay, like both players are maxed, like that's got to be pretty decent. But in this particular case, because the Ravens are out already and they have gathered so much energy already, I mean, that's kind of like the unit that you would want to go, right? In the TVT, it's the expensive, very good per supply unit in the matchup, and they are already maxed. Like even if you started making as many Ravens as Clem does, you are not going to have its energy. And here comes a little bit of a late siege. Now HeroMarine trying to make a final stand here with the SCVs. A beautiful surround from him. Is that going to be enough? 4 of the tanks are disabled. 5 actually in the front, but it doesn't matter. Clem will take it. And yeah, a very action-packed game, start to finish. That is what we know this man for, and he delivers.
Yeah, I mean, just very well controlled, I think, is the most important thing to take note of here. Clem didn't really give HeroMarine ways back into the game. When it was still early game, yes, HeroMarine did a very good job of moving around, getting some turkey positions, and Clem dealt with it beautifully. And then Clem said, right, I've got enough of a lead, then got that drop in, and obviously that drop sequence was very good for him. He killed HeroMarine's drop, his own drop canceled +2 attack. HeroMarine's army turned around. That felt like maybe the moment he could get something done. And from there, Clem just never let go of it, right? He just had everything he needed. The transition to the air units was perfectly on point. Wasn't too soon, wasn't too late. Yeah, just tough to play from behind. And the thing is as well, you know for a fact that if Clem gets behind like that, HeroMarine will play in the same way. You know, HeroMarine will also just not let Clem back in the game. So yeah, this is very much so a case of just getting ahead early, and it's going to be so tough for whoever falls behind in the early game. So they're both just so good at keeping those leads in TVT.
For sure. I mean, there was definitely those openings that you were talking about for HeroMarine early on as well. Some of those pushes looked so scary and so close. And really, it's him who could have taken that greater lead, but he was delaying his third for it. And that just meant kind of like a double loss, right? Like you got held back, your economy is now worse. And I completely agree with you. I mean, it was a very similar situation to the Showtime versus Skillos game, right? Like completely different matchup and units. But yeah, like you did damage with the Oracle so much so that you have to capitalize on that idea. And that was his plan, right? It's like, I'm going to drop you in the very back. I'm going to attack you in the front. But it was maybe a little bit mistimed and kind of like hesitant to let those 2 medevacs just do all of the damage they could do on his natural expansion. So pulls back, but that was his death sentence at that point. Yeah, he would have probably, you know, the attack may not have worked, but from that point on, the game felt so difficult to play regardless that he might have as well gone for it. We are now on to the next game. That was a great game, a very technical one from this man, but it wasn't enough. Can he bring it back? It is the biggest man on Earth, HeroMarine.
Left-hand side from Team Liquid in the blue. Clem. Data Caesar, big macro counterattack friendly map, right? If your opponent's taking the left, you can usually swing around the right. There's just so many pathways to make use of, and that makes TVT on this map that much more interesting and exciting in my eyes, Cats. It's definitely one of the ones where I do think if these players are going to let a lead slip away, it would be on this one because there's just so much potential to get back in the game and to lose track of the game.
That is a very good point. A lot of high grounds as well, leading to the first 4 bases, kind of easy to secure. So yeah, I think that players can definitely stabilize. And on that front, I would give a slight edge to HeroMarine, right? Like when it comes to the macro decisions and just the macro spending, I guess, when it comes to the defense and the more turtley aspects of the matchup, I think that this would be a good map for him to take. So let's see if he can do it, as Clem is going to be the one that's SCV scouting fairly early on. I'm gonna check that there's nothing out of the ordinary going on. The factory timing will give him all the information he needs as far as the gases as well, and he will know that he is mirrored on that regard. So both players, I assume, are gonna take people off of gas to mine it with 1 or 2 per in order to develop their economy further, and otherwise we are just chilling, but Clem with a slight disadvantage on the economy just by virtue of scouting.
Yeah, but then you can maybe say that he feels nice enough to go just into a faster reactor, right? So he feels good to get a reactor up soonest. That's going to benefit him. CCs go down in sync right here, so no difference across the board on that one. Yeah, I mean, I like the slightly faster reactor. It can help you, but it's also one of those little things, as is the slight eco disadvantage that's
For sure.
over after the next couple minutes, right? It's probably never going to be seen again, and there's just so many more things that can change up and put someone into a lead. So that's Clem starting 2 Reapers at once, and it looks like they're kind of just matching each other on units for the moment. Obviously, HeroMarine already has 2 Reapers, so he's going to end up on 3. Clem will get to 3 as well, and yeah, we'll see if a fight breaks out or not.
Yes, indeed. The HeroMarine, a Reaper stayed back as well, the first one, just expecting that Clem might try it for some aggression, especially with the SCV being out there, right? A lot of the time you can just use the SCV that's out there to try to tank the first shot of the Reaper and win that fight and then delay the CC or something of the sort. So players are just being cautious, but like you said, that faster reactor might come into play here, Wardy, as Clem does have 3 Reapers. So does HeroMarine, but the Hellion here is faster for Clem as well. And HeroMarine is a little bit more bruised up, so he has to tuck tail and run for the time being.
Gets out of there, and Clem actually going to continue to chase for the moment, which is not a terrible idea because HeroMarine's committing into some add-ons. Reapers into the main, and he knows that this is maybe an opening he can take advantage of, and so far it is. 2 SCVs immediately looking for number 3, gets it, gonna get 4. Great grenade to buy time, gets hooked to 5 workers killed,
sheesh.
probably 6. Oh my goodness.
He's just gone for the SCVs. What a beast. Gets 6. I mean, I thought if it were me, I would have turned for the Hellion, but gets a lot of damage done there. And yeah, I mean, really, really good job from Clem identifying where his opponent is and how fast he can get to the side that he can jump to and kind of leapfrog to, right? So really well done there. At least there was always the timing window to kill like 2 or 3 SCVs for free, right? So yeah, it's really well done.
That was sick, man. That's really, really well done, like you say. And Clem, gotta feel very good about that. He will just take a lead again here. I mean, 6 worker lead this early in the game is a huge significance. And you can see HeroMarine, by the way, as well, just going for a couple of Vikings, not a Raven. I think HeroMarine is going to come across the map and try and take a position and just hold that position. Without a Raven, that seems scary, but with the Viking control, it is maybe possible. Otherwise, what else is he really setting up for? Another tank, still no 3rd CC. It feels like HeroMarine is going to be across the map very soon and putting his army just up in front of Clem's base like he did last game.
Yeah, we'll see if that works out. I mean, this Cyclone, in my mind, it doesn't contribute as much as other units from the factory would have, right? It's really good defensively and really good in the early game because the lock-on makes it one of the strongest units in a head-to-head. But as the army scale, as there is more units on the field, it kind of loses a little bit of its power. So I'm not sure how confident HeroMarine should be in this siege. At the same time, I feel like he almost has to go for it because, like you said, I mean, 6 workers in the early game, and Clem has not slipped on that front to let HeroMarine back in the economic way is a huge deficit to work with. So kind of forced to do something. And I love that Clem isn't out on the map. Clem isn't trying to push that advantage right now, because right now the right thing to do is to sit back and absorb. You have the economic lead secured.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a... I mean, it just feels like HeroMarine's got so much pressure to do something right now. Clem, Not sure how aware he is of just how aggressive HeroMarine is being. No third CC, right? All of these units ready to power through, and here we go. He's just dropped auto turrets to begin with to help push this back, but that means he doesn't have the ability to kind of Matrix tanks this easily later, but he gets a tank kill, so at least he gets one of those kind of down already. That's a big part of this. As he scans ahead, he gets a lock on as well with the Cyclone. That's a dead Viking, so yeah, actually just a lot of little things going very right for Clem at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it might be a problem that he was a little bit like off position with the tanks, right? Like he wasn't reaching with the fire of the tanks in the backline there, so the auto turrets could have just been disengaged from, but they do their job, they do enough, and on this side, two Hellions are just securing that economic lead further, and they're saying, you have to kill me now, mister.
Yeah, absolutely. 8 kills, or about to be 8 kills, gonna get even more, it seems, as more SCVs get pulled in. They're gonna get a Hellion! Yeah! One of them gets it. As Clem pulls his own SCVs in, HeroMarine does not waste time GGing out, and Clem is gonna take a 2-0 lead. What a statement to open up with in this TVT series.
Quick and swift, all thanks to those Reapers. And remember, they had the same exact units to work with, right? It was 3 Reapers, 2 Hellions on either side. It was just Clem getting the extra bruising on HeroMarine's Hellion a little bit sooner. That makes it so that HeroMarine has to back away through, you know, he wants to for his army to be consolidated on the back, right? You don't want to expose that. And that just leaves the opening for Clem to do the damage that forces HeroMarine into an early loss.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that as well, it's just wild just how a little something like that turns into everything in the game, more or less, because like you say, then Clem has the opportunity to get 6 workers ahead. That 100% influences what HeroMarine does next, and then Clem is able to defend that, and hence he is able to win the game, right? So
yeah,
the tiniest of things, and that's just the margin between these two. You know, we've seen this before though. Clem or HeroMarine, they take a 2-0 lead. It looks like they're unstoppable, and then the other player just says, well, we're evenly matched. I will do that myself. I will bounce back. Yes, right now this looks like it may be a 3-0, but that's the thing. These are small margins. It's very easy for the small margin to go HeroMarine's way, and if it does, expect them to be right back in this series.
Absolutely, and that's why I like to talk about the bruising of the Hellion, because it's that small of a margin. It's not even a full unit. It's just your Hellion's a little bit yellow, mine's not. You run away, right?
Get out of my base.
Get out.
Get back to your own base, and now I can get into yours.
Yep. So, yeah, we're loaded in. And this guy, he needs your energy, chat. He has been with Mousesports forever. Before Mousesports was made. Actually, it was made for him. And the top right-hand side, it is HeroMarine.
In the bottom left, he's barely even. I don't even think he's older than his team. His team Liquid's Clem.
Yeah, I think his team's older than him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Team Liquid was made in 2000, maybe.
So that would probably around that time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's he's younger than his team.
That's awesome.
I never really thought of that.
Team Liquid forum user for like a very long time now. Yeah, maybe like 20 years. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess you from the Brood War days as well, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, Team Liquid's been around a while. I mean, there's still conversations that I go back and search from 20 years ago, you know, just for nostalgic factors.
Yeah, I have the same thing from like not like 20 years ago, but like 10 years ago. Like one of my first tournament and stuff, it's all on Team Liquid.
Yeah.
All right there. It's crazy.
Gotta love Team Liquid.
We do.
We sure do. And yeah, I mean, pretty standard opening again. Double gas on either side. Then take people from the gas after your factory's down to prioritize the minerals and faster expanding. We've been through that. And yeah, it's probably going to be Reapers, Hellions to start us off. And we'll see where they take it from there.
Yeah. Some amount of Reaper Hellion. We'll see just how aggressive we get. We'll see if Clem wants to play a medevac or so. But yeah, very much so is a case of just sort of seeing what happens from there for a while as this Reaper comes through. From the natural, gonna see a CC dropping down. And yeah, obviously no one getting too aggressive quickly. This time Clem not gonna drop the reactor super quickly either, so just gonna mirror each other for the moment. We wait to see what the differences will be.
Yeah, here's where I wonder with a ramped map like this, I feel like no one should attack up the ramp. Like I feel like both players should just hold their positions. Is there an opportunity to just cut some of these Hellions, some of these Reapers, go for a faster tank or a Cyclone, just, you know, the mind game type thing? Obviously, if you get attacked, you die. But,
That's the problem, right?
I don't see it, yeah.
Yeah, you get attacked, you die. It's just rough. It takes so long to build a Cyclone. You're open for so long. Is it really worth giving your opponent that opportunity for the sake of... I mean, as well, I guess you're probably limited somewhat on gas with the build too, right? So if you start just cutting like a Hellion to go faster tank, does that even work while getting the starport?
That's a good
Whatever you want to build off the starport, so...
It's uncomfortable, right? Because they're used to the influx of gas that they're getting as well. So they would have to adapt on the fly or practice a build like that beforehand for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. It's very cool. As HeroMarine is going to lose a Hellion here to begin with, and then I think Clem is very comfortably going to be able to turn this away. It's a Reaper shot, he gets really good damage on the Hellion, and that is a big deal, as we've talked about before in the previous game and all sorts. So
Clem doing the same maneuver?
Yeah, I mean, he might, but I guess it's later in the game this time, right? So you can see
is.
Cyclone will be well in the way. Shouldn't be as devastating at the very least.
That's very true. So HeroMarine will find his way back into his own main, as Clem is just going to go back to his as well. Would love to repair that Hellion. I trust that HeroMarine will.
Yep,
sure.
Yeah, I would imagine. I think... Oh. No! SEV was like, you're unrepairable.
Yeah. That's so sad.
You're,
Poor Hellion.
You're just too broken. Poor Hellion. All right, well... Yeah, I mean, obviously you should just
need a different
that
mechanic.
HP is nice.
Need a second opinion.
SEV's going to lose its job if it found he sent the Hellion back out on low HP. Oh no, he really is going to lose his job. No!
Needed that second opinion, never got it. That's so sad.
This SCV's like trying to just blend in. Now he's like, I didn't see the Hellion. No one told me to check on it. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but HeroMarine's not expecting Clem to have stayed there with the Reapers, right? Like, he's kind of just moving out. Oh, he's flanking them. I thought, I guess he doesn't know. Like, I guess Clem doesn't know he moved out, but he doesn't see them.
Oh, man. I mean, he should have just checked it. It's the exact same location. He had the right idea.
Yeah.
I thought that was a beautiful flank. But not going to end up taking it. I mean, he went all around too. You might as well just, if you're going to path back to your base, path through that corridor anyway. But he's having a look-see around. The builds are otherwise very mirrored, right? Like very, very similar to each other. Both going for the third at around the same time. Both going for the Ravens at around the same time. So double Cyclone on the side of Clem, however. An interesting choice.
Little thing. The Indel Cyclone's very Clem-like because it just gives you a bit more control on the map. You can be a bit more aggressive initially. Eventually, tanks are way better, but yeah, initially it gets you on the map a little bit more easily. Both of them are going to go 2 Ravens and then just go from there. And actually, no, sorry, third Raven is on the way from Clem as well, so he's really actually powering up into a lot of tech here. Some fun stuff, man.
Oh, Cyclone? Oh no, it's a Marine. It's going to get surrounded and killed. We'll give the information away, so that's nice. And that SCV will die.
Yeah, these Reapers are just being looking and waiting for the opportunity like this. Just lock-ons, free unit kills again. Clem is the one to just come out swinging each of these games. And just little things like this, right? The couple of pickoffs that add up over time. It really does add up to just going a long way.
It really, really does. Another pickoff. It's a little one, but yeah, I mean, like, if we look at units lost stat for the point that you're making, it's already 500 in favor of Clem, which is not a negligible amount this early in the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's one of those things that adds up and can be meaningful. Clem, gonna start coming across the map, so and into the center, moving through, and just gonna be seeing what he can get done, but he's not really gonna go all that far. And so just leaves a couple of Cyclones forward and pulls everything else back. Takes a third, and yeah, just has a slight army supply lead, which he's gonna find difficult to make use of.
Yeah, he does have a little bit slower of his team, so he might want to chill until his team is ready at least. But yeah, otherwise he's going to be pretty happy with the game so far. The lack of, I guess, the economic lead at least. A very nice pullback with the 1 weak Reaper there. The lack of economic lead, I guess, makes it so that the game can still very much stabilize, and there's no real massive advantage. It's just the little things. They could have snowballed, and at this point I think fair to say they didn't, right? It's gonna come down to the stronger units now, the disables, the tanks, etc. in the next engage. But on that front, I guess Clem does have the edge as far as the Raven energy.
Yeah, that full extra Raven is something you really commit into, and he was down in Vikings for a bit. Now he's going to be only 2 behind, so he should be able to catch up. And obviously, the extra Raven is great. If he gets all of his energy off and HeroMarine gets all of his off, then Clem should, in theory, be in a better position in a fight. Obviously, that's where HeroMarine hopes that his Viking count can maybe help to deflect one of those Ravens. Maybe you can make this a bit of a slower fight or something along those lines. And definitely a few different questions.
Yeah, that is a very good way to put that too, because yeah, the Ravens are bursty, right? Like they use their energy. That is the window that you have to try to capitalize on. So if HeroMarine can slow things down, then the Vikings do exactly that. They are zoning tools. So HeroMarine now getting ready to situate a 4th base, as Clem is also working on his, but it's gonna be a little bit slower to it. So yeah, good job from HeroMarine. I mean, I think he's low in the pace of the game, as he should to some degree. And he is very good at it, but Clem seems to be ready. Stim is online now to get started. Combat Shield's just now starting, but he feels like it's time. HeroMarine does have Combat Shields finishing.
Nelly lost a Raven there, but then we do kill a few Marines in return. Good quick response from Clem to keep that Raven alive, as we do intercept on the right-hand side. So Clem actually making the most of this. That medevac goes down. These Marines are all stranded, and Clem is going to find himself a pretty sizable cleanup. Wow, good start. Really,
really good start to that. I mean, that's going to make HeroMarine so hesitant to go out on the map. So it's up to Clem if he wants to continue on with the aggression. He's going to scan this base. I wouldn't mind it if he took a 5th right now or something of the sort. That's one way that you can say, I have the advantage. You're not moving out. You have to be defensive. I'm going to take a base, right? And that's exactly what he does. So you love to see it there. He's going to be expanding towards the north. And yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot too, as you just have a handful of Marines. I'm going to go all the way out the right side. I love that he's reinforcing this position as well. Just saying, hey, you kind of know I've got to drop over here, but if you're looking to deal with like a 2 medevac drop, and it's like the strength of a 3 or 4 medevac drop, maybe I can overwhelm you or so. And yeah, especially as the rest of his army comes up this way too, maybe there is some combination of a move he can make. As he's just looking outside of Sensor Tower range. Of course, it's one of those DVTs, right, where the Sensor Tower's got up. No one's really weak enough to get broken down early, so this kind of becomes that kind of tough to do much about game, because you can't really get into position because your opponent has perfect information.
Exactly, so as much as Clem was getting early advantages, he wasn't able to snowball them, or willing to, but that's perfectly fine. He has gained advantages on other grounds. Now he wants to use the energy on the Ravens if possible, as they have accumulated the maximum amount of energy that they can get. And on the other side, more important attack is going to happen, but 3 tanks already there for HeroMarine are going to deflect this kind of easily. Does lose a tank for his troubles.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, well, that seemed kind of wild from Clem, and he was like splitting single Marines forward to tank down. Just like, if that works, it's incredible, but the chance of it working is seemingly slim, and yeah, didn't really do too well.
Yeah, I mean, trades like 8 or 9 Marines for a tank, right? So not ideal, but not terrible either. At least you're trading for gas. Yeah. HeroMarine now looking like he's ready to move out himself, or at least secure another base.
Yeah, Clem and HeroMarine both adding on a bunch more command centers. Clem getting the Raven upgrade as well, so they have better starting energy. They're both going to continue to build a lot into the air control, because they know just how important that is going to be continuing in this game. So, other than that, that's what they head toward, and we wait for a big clash of armies, which might just take a while to get to.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be difficult for either player to find an angle here. So both players are gonna be looking to poke and prod here with a little bit of harassing tools. So medevacs are gonna be the choice for that. As on this side, HeroMarine has a pretty good amount of Marines. Those turrets are going to be exposed no matter what. Clem is trying to get there as fast as possible, and the fastest vehicle he has is the medevacs with the boost. The planetary fortress is not yet done, which means a lot of these SCVs are liable to die. 12 have fallen so far, but now Clem here is on location. HeroMarine trying to go into the main is their turrets. There's going to be 2 ready to welcome one of those medevacs, and Clem right behind them as well on the tail. But good job from HeroMarine, only unloading one of them, the weak one. And the other one, you know, it looks like it might be inconsequential, but Clem's not going to let it go either way, or is he?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Clem could have killed it with his reinforcing Marines, but he's obviously looking elsewhere. He's busy, but that's going to cost him. He's going to lose a few more SCVs because of it. So Clem being a little lazy on the cleanup of this, and yeah, like I say, it definitely just cost him. You see the boost activate. HeroMarine will do as much as he can Yeah, Clem just has to pull back in his main to deal with it, but all dealt with now. We get back onto the map. We're talking about 16 to 10 Vikings still in HeroMarine's favor. So he has good air control, but he does have 1 or 2 Ravens less. So that's the difference between the two of them for the moment.
Yeah, I feel like that was a little bit of a mini mind game from HeroMarine as well. Like sometimes what you can do is like pretend like you're done dropping, like your opponent might think that they killed the medevac that was important. It's very difficult to pay attention to everything. So if you kind of stop microing for a second, then that signals to your opponent that's just a medevac, I can let that go, right? Or not invest as much, and then you drop it. And that was the full medevac. That's why I really liked like his dropping of the actions at that point, and then retaking it when Clem wasn't paying attention again, because there's always a chance that your opponent drops the attention if they think it's inconsequential. And now Clem's just going to siege a couple of these buildings.
Yep. And you can take that in the sensor tower there, which is actually kind of cool because it takes some of the vision away from HeroMarine. That's definitely one of the biggest strengths you have right now is the tank siege up. We're going to put it on the top side. That's a good position to get into. Couple of tanks, another couple turrets, another sensor tower, and HeroMarine is losing a lot of the information and vision you're usually working with.
Yeah, another tank is gonna fall here too. I can't help but to think those tanks were a little bit too far forward, not protected by the PF there, but understandable if he thinks tanks are the threat. It's gonna be Marines for the most part, however, and they have done a wonderful job of trading up until that point where they are gonna end up losing their lives. But like you said, I think the vision game is the important part here. Clem will have 4 of his own sensor towers, one of them overlapping greatly, but the rest of them very useful. HeroMarine now re-establishing the right-hand side, but he needs to have eyes on the left as well, as Clem is trending towards, or at least threatening, or playing with the idea that he could go there.
It's a fun map for this kind of TVT because it's small enough and compact enough that in theory you should pretty much always be able to match your opponent's movement, so it's so tough to find the openings, to find the ways in, and you've got to be doing so many things at this level to make your opponent let you have an opportunity, right? And that's why it's so cool when Clem does find an opening like what he just had. Just how much went into him being able to kill off like 5 turrets, a sensor tower, and a couple of tanks, right? Like it's almost crazy, it's almost silly, but yeah, that's kind of the chess match of TVT in this stage of the game.
Yeah, and interestingly, I mean, the upgrades for the mech and the air are not really there for the players, but if we look at what's on the field, I mean, they have pretty much, especially Clem, has mostly just completely transitioned into mech. He has 1 Marine remaining from the early game, whereas HeroMarine, I mean, he has 15, so not many more. So now expect to see in production a lot more of those upgrades to catch up on those regards, as these Ravens are a little bit exposed. One of them will be taken down more or less for free from these Marines that will also get that vision that you were pointing out is ever so important.
Yeah, every little thing. These couple of medevacs, not sure what they were up to, but they do go down across the map. They should sit above the base. HeroMarine looking to take his final base of the game, obviously. This is where, in theory, they both have the exact same base, the XI man. And man, units lost 103 to 104. 7.9 to 7.7k. Like, it's such an even game at the moment. It's so close between the two of them. And that's just, I guess, what we expect from these two players, realistically. And yeah, this is kind of what you expect when you see these two playing TVT, more so than what we saw in games 1 and 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Neither player kind of yielding to the early advantages, just stabilizing, and they have done a wonderful job of that, both of them. Clem a little bit more active on the map still with his tanks and siege, a little bit more willing to look for engagements, perhaps. Whereas HeroMarine is going to be happy and confident just sitting back and massing up the units that he thinks are going to be the best to carry him through the game. He's also a little bit faster to the upgrades, so that's gonna pan out nicely for him. But yeah, I mean, it's a very even game, and one that should continue to slow down as well, right? Given the absence of the bio now, the very mobile units, it's gonna turn into this very positional game where the jump is gonna be really important. And HeroMarine getting dumped here on the siege. Bye-bye.
I wasn't even a jump on the siege. I was just Clem not having any idea what was going on over there. He loses a good clunk of tanks to it. Now, he is going to lose a base to the top left here, Marine. But, I mean, yeah, let's see what he can do on the other side. Vikings are going to fight Vikings. The numbers going in are in favor of HeroMarine as well. He also has more Ravens, so this is looking like a HeroMarine battle, and he's just going to start pushing on forward. And suddenly, if Clem loses this position, he loses the bottom right position, and this is a huge snowball that's about to collect together.
Yeah, this position is so much more important than the position that Clem just took. There is also multiple orbital commands here to be taken down. They can't be lifted up because of the Vikings in the air as well. And like you said, it cuts the blood flow towards the right-hand side of the map, whereas Clem just took a single base there. at the top. So great job from HeroMarine, pouncing on the opportunity, knowing, hey, you got a bunch of tanks at the top. I just killed a bunch of tanks in the middle. I should be able to push here, no problem. And he is completely right. This is looking very good for the German.
Yeah, sizable mistake from Clem, and definitely going to be regretting that one, as HeroMarine will not let up, pushing through the middle of the map right now. Vikings gonna get a little jump from Clem. He gets an anti-armor missile way sooner, but he's hitting a lot of the Ravens with the Vikings as well. Clem's supply just is not holding up, unfortunately. He's reinforcing, but I feel like these 9 Marines he's producing are just going to add nothing to the table. I really would have just preferred to see everything be Vikings, Ravens, and all sorts. I guess he's just trying to, build whatever he can, however he can. Because right now he's getting auto-turreted to death, and he just can't get his own Ravens kind of into play well enough right now, is the issue. He's losing the Viking war consistently. And HeroMarine also just has less SCV, so he has more army supply, making it so that this army is almost unkillable.
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's very difficult indeed. And Clem is trying to angle here to find something onto the tanks with that many Ravens, with the Vikings tanking for them, as he's not really in a position to bite for air control at this point in time. But HeroMarine is very quick with this push as well, right? Like, obviously he has to siege and unsiege, but as fast as he's doing it, it's wonderful, moving into the very important position here to completely cut the blood flow of Clem and completely stop him from making any units. Here comes the final attempt of Clem to clear this up. He does get a disable onto all of the tanks of HeroMarine, and the Marines are contributing greatly against the Vikings and Ravens, but those disables are about to wear out, and the bio will disappear for the most part. 3 tanks remaining now for HeroMarine, and he will get dislodged eventually by the looks of it, but this was very expensive, if at all, done from Clem, as there's still Ravens remaining with energy from HeroMarine pouncing onto the remaining tanks, and I think he might have done it here, Wardicio. Whoa!
Whoa.
He covered his mouth as well because of no GG. He also said, "Wow." I love that. I looked at him. That was amazing.
He caught me off guard slightly, Cats.
Yeah, he caught me off guard by not GG, but yeah, he said GG sorry in the chat instantly.
Yeah,
what a wonderful guy.
That is very much so a mistake, I'm sure. Probably just typed it, then he typed it, didn't press enter properly or whatever, it just disappears, and it happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool game, man. It was obviously very close, and all it came down to was, well, Clem walked a few tanks into a few other tanks. I do think that HeroMarine's position was maybe a bit better because his army was just better, right? And he just had more army supply on the map, and once he found the opening as well, he just never stopped. And the fact he lost some workers, it didn't matter because he just rebuilt army. And then even when Clem was able to break out, you're breaking out into not just 20 army supply behind because HeroMarine's in a good spot, but 20 army supply behind more because HeroMarine just never built as many workers, or you didn't have any more, as many workers as you at that point. So it became a very difficult one for Clem, and yeah, great kind of game for HeroMarine to win, because it's well, hey, look, in the game that doesn't kind of go wrong early, I did get the victory in the end, right? So big one.
Yeah, for sure. And like I was saying, it wasn't just the tanks that got caught in the middle. It was also the fact that Clem was going for that other base, which under any other circumstance, great move, right? But because you just lost X amount of army supply there in the middle and a bunch of tanks that are not going to be able to partake at the top, then HeroMarine did a great job of identifying just how quickly you can move. Even if he has the stronger army, it's very difficult to push tanks out, right, of position. So, I mean, you remove 10, 12 tanks out of the equation, gonna be a much easier thing to do. And yeah, he did it wonderfully. So good to see him back in the series. We're not gonna have a sweep, and that is awesome, as this series definitely deserves to go all the way, but we'll see if that will be the case. In the top right-hand side, it is for Mouseboards, Hero Machine.
In the bottom left, happily turn player up 2-1 still. See if you can find another one to close it out. It is Clem. Yeah, this is obviously a map where the 4 bases are very easily defended, of course, and going out to further bases, very possible too. Has a fair few similarities to Data C, but maybe a little bit more macro-friendly even.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, easy to secure 4 bases all on the high ground. Some cool forward tank spots as well that will enable you to even take a 5th base if you go vertically. Or, I mean, the horizontal 5th base is also good. Yeah, this is a kind of just an easy map to split, right? So could have more of that. Difficult to go through the chokes in the middle as well, especially for tanks.
Yep. Yeah, that's gonna be fun to see it. I mean, honestly, this is the kind of map where you can expect to see one of those long, drawn-out games yet again from these two, and yeah, they're very fun games to be had, right? So let's see, as once more Clem is going for that faster reactor. We've seen that before in the series, so going to be seeing it yet again right now. I'm kind of a fan of that. You know, it's something which I feel like you can get away with a lot against HeroMarine. So yeah, take that advantage, run with it.
Run with indeed. Let's see. What do you think comes off this reactor? Just a double Reaper, probably, right?
Yeah, double Reaper, so you end up like 3 versus 3. So it's just the kind of same units. It's just then you have your reactor already built. So it just helps you out a bit further down the line. Like the only time you're really vulnerable with this is like right now. And what would you be vulnerable to? Well, like a proxy rank, just not very.
Or the Reaper crossing the map, I guess, right? Like you would probably get an SCVR too.
Yeah, Reaper crossing the map, but it's just so difficult to get, especially if HeroMarine's choosing not to scout. It's just so risky for HeroMarine to do that. So it's very much so just a calculated risk from Clem. He just says, well, I kind of know how HeroMarine plays. I know the things he likes to do. I can take advantage of it by just going straight reactor.
I love it. So, yeah, both players are just going to sit back here. Starport now coming up for HeroMarine. Expect the same from Clem in the vicinity of time, as he is just producing units. It's going to go up to 4 Reapers, actually, with the next 2 in production. So maybe we are looking for a little bit more aggression than normal as well from his side of things.
I wonder if we go past 4 Reapers, because you could go to 6 Reapers, right, with a medivac and really try and like hammer home some early damage. That could be very interesting. Let's see what's next off the reactor. We do start at more Reapers, so yeah, Clem's definitely going to try and go the most aggressive route possible. And right now, HeroMarine was a bit greedy himself, no? Because he cut after 2 Reapers and a Hellion, and right now building a Marine, building a tech lab. He's not set up at all to really fight. Unfortunately, he's not going to have his CC slowed down, but yeah, Clem could get a great start of this right now, leading with 1 Hellion. There's no mine here. HeroMarine knows it, so he's going to lose a few SCVs in the low ground, 2, 3, and 4. And now Clem goes up the high ground. There's not even a wall off. Clem sees the opportunity, gets a Marine straight away, and Clem's going to be feeling great. The Cyclone was just so late to start. HeroMarine has to pull SCVs. Cats, it's a complete and utter disaster of an opening for HeroMarine. My goodness.
Yeah, he did the best that he could with those mines or the Widow Mine grenades to try to slow down Clem on the entry. And that was pretty cool with the SimCity actually working pretty nicely. But unfortunately for him, he loses 11 SCVs regardless of that fact. And yeah, I mean, in the last game, I was wondering why not cut some corners, like make some less units, get one of the techier unit earlier. And this is kind of why, right? But yeah, I mean, that's exactly why. But this is, I mean, to HeroMarine's credit, it is the first time that Clem decides to get as active with the first few units on this particular map. And yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see it from Clem more than HeroMarine, because HeroMarine has definitely not been nearly as active. But yeah, I mean, this is rough, man.
As I was like, is the Cyclone going to lose? Oh my god, it's actually going to lose as the other Reaper and Hellion show up. That's not good for HeroMarine either, because a Cyclone is probably more useful at this stage than the Reapers. Obviously, if the Reapers get in, but you assume HeroMarine's not going to let that happen. Don't like where the Raven went there. I really thought the Raven gave itself up, and HeroMarine... no reason for the Raven to go there.
I mean, the only reason is that you are desperate, right? Like, you should be desperate. You lost 11 workers. You have to try to make something happen.
Yeah, but...
And the SCVs were retreating.
He flew just further in, though, no? I guess, I guess he just wanted a deeper border turret.
Yeah, exactly. He wanted a deeper... Because I don't think he does that in a normal game. You do that game where you lost 11 workers, right? And you're like, okay, gotta take some risks that are less than optimal, less than ideal, not as calculated as I would like them to be, because killing 1 or 2 SCVs or the mining is not enough for me right now. I need to do more than that, so... Understandable, but it's only gonna set him further behind. Raven is down. I repeat, Wardy, Raven is down. Do you copy?
No, I don't copy cats.
Ah, that's an issue. That's an issue.
It is. Yeah, Clem just a major worker lead at this stage of the game, and just look at the timings. Third CC, way faster. Second and third racks, way faster. So even if the numbers are starting to get a little bit close again, they're going to completely separate in a few moments in favor of Clem, because he's just going to have so much more production available to him, both in workers and in army. Yeah, I mean, it's a nasty bad position for HeroMarine, and this is the type of situation that Clem will look to exploit.
We were talking about it during the first game, right? Like once you get an advantage that's this significant, it's difficult to let it go, because if you let the game stabilize, we've talked about it, this map is the type of map where you can actually just sit back. And once you get to, you know, a decent amount of supply in tanks, it's very difficult to breach. So let's see. I am very interested as far as how Clem is going to choose to engage. Given the Ravens, I have to assume that it's going to be something frontal, something very technical, and something, you know, kind of slow and steady with the sieges they're well disabling. So, yeah, no multi-prong aggression. It's going to come down to can HeroMarine hold with what he has. And it's not going to be easy, but Clem giving him some room to breathe so far.
Yeah, the tank setup is decent. He obviously scouted a bit with that Reaper, right? Seeing where it got shot from, get an idea of how the tanks are set up, and clearly doesn't like the setup enough for him to go across the map and try and take advantage of it, so just sort of lets it be for the moment.
He does have the much faster third. So I guess that's fine too, right?
Yeah, of course. Like he's in no rush to do damage. Like
yeah,
he's way better set up in every way. I mean, we're still talking about 1 Rax from HeroMarine, so his second and third Rax are still building. Okay. So right now, Clem can build so many more Marines than HeroMarine, and again, like a minute or two down the line, the army supply is going to be crazy different.
Yeah, I think that is the thing, right? And that is the information that he was looking for with the Reaper, and now confirming with the Hellion. So he knows the timing of the third for HeroMarine. No use in contesting 2 bases. 3 bases, however, now the income is going to start equalizing, and he does have that extra production that he also just canned from HeroMarine. So he's well aware of how this game is going to progress in terms of production, in terms of economy, and the economy is close to you know, not equalizing because of all the damage he did earlier, but at least HeroMarine has that real estate to work with. So I love the sensor tower as well, very early on from HeroMarine. He knows that he will be susceptible to incoming attacks, and I also like the split from Clem. Let's see what he can get done here.
Yeah, it's good to just accept you're the defender super early, right? But this drop from Clem could unload in a fog of war as well, right? HeroMarine just dropped down a turret there, but it's a little bit too late. Clem's into the back of the main base. SCVs will begin to die, and HeroMarine is just not pulling workers away at all. 9 workers going down.
For this. Tanks on siege for this, and HeroMarine wants to deal with this, but Clem knows that he's already picked up, and now the tanks are in great position. This might just be the final moments of the game, or at least this base being completely forfeit. HeroMarine cannot be happy about the situation, as unsieging the tanks means forfeiting this position. Extremely important position, as now Clem gears up to even take a 4th base as we speak.
Not even a great Matrix, right? Because the tank that was in range had already gone down, so then you kind of Matrix in a tank and it's energy used for no reason. So
yeah,
another kind of negative on HeroMarine's side. He can't mine off of his third, and this is, I mean, he's going to start blowing over to the right, realize, well, I may as well send it over there, get a head start compared to the other CC, which is about to finish. Clem, realistically, could probably set up on that right-hand side as well at this stage, because he just seems to be having so much. That army supply is completely different, as we mentioned it would be eventually. And the only thing Clem's missing, I didn't realize, was the upgrades a bit later, but just looking so good otherwise that it probably doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that he gives up that position, but I guess he wants to go on the other side and keep up the aggression. He has left a pocket of units to the north as well, so he can apply pressure again and looking to do so into the main. The sensor tower was taken down, so it's going to be an easier drop here, just diagonally, and gonna find that tank as well that was situated to prevent exactly this, a drop into the mineral line, but Clem just going straight on forward, and this might be the final engagement of the game, as there's going to be a lot of Clem here and not enough HeroMarine to withhold. By the looks of it, the tanks are going to disappear, and I think we have the final moment.